So you are ready to do all what it takes to make your dreams come true? Know that not only what you do is important. It's all about energy. Your energy is what matters. Hi everyone, my name is Lyall. I'm a Feng Shui practitioner and energy guide. In today's video, you will learn one simple but so powerful technique how you can stay in your highest energy as long as possible so you can reach your goals faster, live with more joy and ease, and just make your dreams come true. I'm going to talk with intuitive coach Jennifer Lyall. Make sure you'll stay until the end because that's the part when she's revealing this powerful technique. I have more interviews like this in my pocket, so consider subscribing. And now let's move to the interview. Jennifer Lyall is an intuitive business mentor and chief energy optimizer. She helps conscious visionary entrepreneurs who are losing control with too many ideas and too much to juggle to confidently follow through to the next level in business. She teaches entrepreneurs how to master their energy and intuition so they can uplevel their impact and income while doing what makes their heart sing. Jennifer is known for helping ambitious entrepreneurs make million-dollar decisions, trusting their intuition. Her genius is tuning into the energy of ideas, people, places, and situations to help them prioritize in their business and create a plan for moving forward. So I'm really excited to have Jennifer today with us. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I know that you are the right person because energy optimizer sounds really promising to me.
Yes, we speak the same language. You know, you talk about energy in spaces and in our worlds and how it just flows through us. And so, yeah, we speak the same language. Absolutely.
Yes, and it's also always like interesting for me to listen to the story. How did you get to this? So please share with us.
So, how I dove into becoming an intuitive business mentor, I actually started my business back in 2008 as Live Healthy. My intention was to inspire people to be proactive about their health through a video podcast. So, 2008, podcasting was at its infancy. The wellness industry was just starting to gain momentum in North America. And I was a mom who was passionate about wellness. I had a co-host and co-producer who's a naturopathic doctor, and we both wanted to dive into podcasting. So we had a mutual friend that had connected us, lent us their equipment for doing the videos, told exactly how to start our video podcast. So we knew how to do it all. And my vision was like, all right, the way it's described, I should be able to get advertisers, no problem. But I didn't believe in myself because I was just a mom who was passionate about wellness. I didn't know why anybody would want to listen to me, and to build up a following for a video podcast with it being so new, it was overwhelming. And here I was, smart. I graduated from business school with honors. I had a background in marketing and project management through event planning. And it's like, I'm really smart. Like, this should not be this hard. What am I doing wrong? And so I came to a point where I gave myself permission to discover what makes my heart sing. And I had some pretty profound spiritual experiences where I felt like things were reaching inside of me, pushing, pulling things around. And when I discovered automatic writing, I was saying, what is this? And it's like, well, we're unlocking the door to your soul. It was actually always unlocked, but you just didn't know how to let it out. And then it came up to a place where it was connecting in with my mind and giving my ego a break and kind of taking control of my life. And it was a really interesting and profound experience. And it turned my life upside down and opened my world to a spiritual wonderland. I had lots of moments where I thought I was going crazy because of all the synchronicities. And all the messages that I was getting through the automatic writing. And then it's just like, no, that can't be true. And then I'd watch a video or I'd read it in a book from some other well-known spiritual teacher, just like, wow. And I was given my own modality called Connect to You. And it was through automatic writing, stick drawings, and here's an overview for how to do a case study. Here's a meditation to do as part of it, and go off and do that case study. And it was pretty transformative to be able to take little lines of instructions from what I channeled to actually doing that live with people and having them say, wow, I feel so different. And having situations, the very first person I did a session with, she was on the verge of a kind of just really stressed out, almost burned out because of a legal situation. And then the company that was suing her admitted that they were wrong over the few weeks after we connected. She came back into her power. Not only did they admit that they were wrong, but they settled and gave her more money than she had expected. And just so many more explosive, really expansive experiences with others along the way.
Wow, it's so exciting. This journey. I always love how people are mostly like surprised or even scared or thinking that I'm going to, become crazy because this is just not possible. And it is possible, when we just get in alignment with our soul and things starts to happen. So it's always exciting.
The magic that's there. It is pretty incredible. We just control so much. That journey of surrendering is huge. And so it had started with me it was March of 2010, and I just had this moment. The house was pitch black. It was quiet. Everyone was still asleep. My kids were really young. And I just remember giving myself permission to discover what made my heart sing. And then it was like the universe said, all right, she's finally listening now. And I started to witness the synchronicities. And it's just incredible, the meditation, the crystals, the dowsing, the oracle cards, the automatic writing, all the way these things wove together. It's pretty spectacular.
I can remember this phase of my life when I was like trying to figure out what makes my heart sing, but I was, for a long period, I was trying just to find it in my head and to figure it out. And I was reading books and trying I was going to seminars and trying to get answers from the outside.
Mm.
And of course, at the end, I realized, okay, all answers are just within, but it takes so much time for me because I was also always like person who tried to think, and just get answers from the outside. So
you research, you look out there, and it always comes back to ourselves. Whatever it is that we're trying to navigate through, even with some outside help, whether or not it works, always comes back to ourselves.
Exactly.
So there was one day where I was standing at my stove at lunchtime. Kids were off at school, and I was just getting something prepared in a crock pot so I could then go off and have that simmering in the afternoon and then be ready for dinner in the evening. Easy peasy lemon squeezy dinner. And there was something that as I was standing at the stove, this energy came over me, and I opened my mouth to speak because my perception was that to channel that it would come through a voice through me. But my throat chakra was so blocked that nothing came out. And then I felt this energy in my arm. It was almost like the sensation of like putting a hand into a glove, but I was the glove. And I grabbed a pen and a paper and I left my hand heavy because I didn't want to interfere with what the writing was going to be. And it looked like scribbles and like what I would write with my left hand, but even worse. And I just said, I can't understand that. And so then it became clearer. And the essence of the message is, you're braver than you realize. There's nothing to be afraid of. You know, you're fully supported. Just trust. And so in that energy, I had learned how to dowse. And for those who aren't familiar with what dowsing is, it's using a pendulum to channel life force energy. It's a visual representation of the messages from the universe. Essentially, I'm saying, okay, universe, I'm talking to you. I'm using this pendulum as the tool. Talk to me. And so I had this stack of cards and I wanted to know, who do I reach out to? Because I was coordinating a bliss out event in my community so I could connect with these practitioners and start to build my network. And so while I was in that energy, I just dowsed and it's like, this card, yes or no, yes, no, and then put them in the various piles. It's just like, oh, well, that was easy. And then I continued on with that. But that was my first experience, was feeling the energy come over me and come into my arm. And so I started doing automatic writing every morning. And since then, the channeling comes through voice sometimes, but sometimes still through the automatic writing. It'll come through. And as I'm doing client conversations, I'll often draw pictures and then it means something about what is coming up for them. So just a visual representation of a message to interpret for them.
Yes. And do you have some tips how to get into this energy easier, or how to check if, you know, some energy check? Or
so one of the tools that I learned, and I don't know if this happened for you in your journey, I would do my automatic writing and I would get this long laundry list of different things to do for my morning practice. And especially in the early days, it'd be like, oh, what's it going to take me like an hour? I can't, spend an hour doing that. I've got too much to do. Did you go through that stage too? And it's just like, oh, honey, if I could talk to that younger self of mine, be like, oh, honey, if you just realized, if you spent that hour, you're actually going to get 2 hours on the other end of it, right? So one of the processes that came through as part of my modality Connect to You that I channeled, the intention of that works to connect the soul with the heart and mind. And one of the powerful things, though, to help you to know how vibrant you're feeling emotionally and physically and mentally and spiritually, is by doing something I call checking your inner battery. And I'm on a mission to teach 1 million people how to check their inner battery as often as they check their phone battery. And there's so much conversation out there about self-care, but what is, like, to go to a spa or to have that bubble bath, those are lovely things. But what's actually empowering is self-awareness, right? When you are aware of what's going on inside of you, when you are starting to become aware of how you're feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, then you can start to make the correlation between, when I feel like crap, this is what unfolds in my life. When I feel amazing, this is what happens in my life. Because essentially, based on how you're feeling, how much energy there is in your inner battery, you're choosing the perspective of how you look at your world and like the timeline that's in front of you. So if you're worried, doubt, and fear, that happens when your inner battery is low. Your excitement and like giddiness and pure joy and inspiration, that's when your inner battery is thriving. So shall we dive into this? This is going to be so much fun.
yes, sure.
Okay, so you're going to want a pen and paper handy. And on the paper, you're going to want to write 4 things and leave a little bit of space in between each one. Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, if you can read my writing there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to check in. Just close your eyes. I like to put my hand on my heart because that gets me present and grounded into my body. And I ask myself on a scale of 1 to 10, how do I feel physically right now? And it's the first number that comes to you. And then do a quick scan through your body and notice why you're rating yourself this number. For me, I can feel that I'm thirsty, so I'm going to take another sip of water. Are you achy anywhere? Are you vibrant? Are you tired? Are you feeling fantastic? Maybe your legs are sore from your workout this morning. Maybe your hips are sore because you've been sitting too much and you know that you need to move around more. You want to write down those insights too. Okay, next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel emotionally right now? First number that comes to you, 1 is low and 10 is high. And what are some of the emotions that come up? Are you happy and excited? Are you overwhelmed? Are you really joyful? Are you feeling kind of blah? And sometimes what happens is we don't realize how much things that have happened earlier in our day, or maybe even earlier in the week, are being carried over into this very moment. Maybe you just had a difficult conversation with a relative yesterday, and you're still mulling it over in your head and it's weighing heavy on your heart. Maybe you are really excited about a trip that's coming up, and so you feel like fantastic and on top of the world. Maybe you just got off a phone call with tech support because there's something going wrong with your computer or your phone and you're feeling really frustrated. And what you don't realize is that you carry that energy into the next conversation, whether it be with a loved one or with a potential client. And there could be just that little extra edge in your voice, but we don't realize what's going on inside of us and then how that's contributing to how we're looking at a situation, the words that we're using as we talk to somebody, the tone of voice that's coming across, and the energy that's being projected as we speak. And then as we start to go through and you check in regularly, you start to recognize the correlation between how you're feeling physically impacts how you're feeling mentally or how you're feeling spiritually or emotionally. And you start to see the correlation between it all. Okay, so let's continue with our check-in. All right, so coming back inside and asking yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel mentally right now? And this is, are you clear thinking or are you scattered and all over the place? Are you focused or are you distracted? And then why are you rating yourself that number? So what's fascinating, I'm getting that I'm thirsty mentally and that that's impacting my mental capacity right now too. So drink up some more. Because when our brain actually requires, I think it's about 20% of our oxygen, our water, and our nutrients is required for our brain. It's not quite that, but it's a surprising amount of what's required for our brain. And when we start to get thirsty, our brain will sacrifice that for other parts of our body. And then that impacts how our brain is able to think. So that little bit of dehydration has a huge impact on your ability to focus, as well as making important decisions in your prefrontal cortex. So making sure that you're doing well mentally and then seeing how it relates back into the other ratings that you're doing as well.
Yes, and this is so interesting because I've got I've got 3, and I was like, what? And I realized how much I'm tired of organizing. I'm still in my head, there's so many things I need to manage and juggle and think about. And so this is like great thing to realize that, so I can do something with that, because it's I'm shocked because I feel like, oh, okay, I'm okay, I'm excited about
And
everything.
this is a really important conversation to have because, like we were talking about this earlier, of that whole idea of letting go of control to surrender on our journey. And we create these coping mechanisms throughout our entire life. And we don't realize how much they just come in on and just on autopilot. All right, I know how to get through this busy time. I just do, right? I just focus, head down, let's get her done. But we don't realize that the output isn't our best. And if you start to check in, then you realize how that's being infused into that work as well, and how that work is going to be received by others. Well, so it just goes to show how exhausted your brain is from all the work that you're doing. You love it, you're excited about it, but your brain's really tired.
Oh, yes, that makes sense.
And it could also speak then to how important taking the time for your meditation, or maybe going a little bit longer in your meditation, to give your brain that break. So even though, it might be a time where you think that you don't have time for your meditation, or you don't have time for a very long meditation, your brain's trying to say, I'm kind of overloaded here. Can you help me out? And then in the process of taking that extra time, your brain starts to function better because you're like defragmenting the brain. And then that allows you to focus more and you're actually more productive. Okay, the last question is, I'm just going to put my hand back on my heart to bring myself back inside. And the last question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do I feel spiritually right now? And this is about you in the connection to the higher power that you believe in, whether it's your higher self, God, Allah, Buddha, Jesus, angels, archangels, like whatever it is that you feel connected to. Or if this level of question doesn't resonate with you, it could be connected to your purpose, or just connected to faith that things are going to work out. And this is a really important question to be asking yourself, especially during these unusual times, because we are being exposed to so many different people's perspectives in the world. And it can feel so overwhelming to be influenced by other people's stories. And as we started the conversation, we talked about how it doesn't really matter about what's going on out there. It always comes back to you and what you believe. So having that faith, having that connection to whatever higher power it is that you believe in, that is key to your groundedness, your sanity navigating through unusual times, and your assuredness, your confidence in yourself, and believing that things will work out. It's like you're choosing your timeline with that thought. So you can struggle through and figure it all out on your own. And as we've talked about earlier in the conversation, that's a lot of work.
Exactly.
And as we kind of surrender, that's when the magic comes. That's when we start to realize how much work we're trying to do and control things from our limited perspective. And when we are being surrounded by all of these other limited points of view, trying to create a perception of a particular outcome, we still have a choice. No, that's not true for me. Let me tune in to see what I believe is possible. What am I going to create with my energy? And then when you step into that place of power, that's when you start to take control, true control of your life. Maybe responsibility is a better word, because it's not the restrictive kind of control, but it's responsibility for how you're showing up, how much energy you bring to the situation and to the conversations and to your relationships. This check-in, I do it multiple times a day. And it helps me to realize, okay, am I feeling good enough to do this next step? Or do I need to take a pause and boost my energy first? Because if I am infusing all of the work that I do with this rushing energy and I'm feeling depleted, no wonder why things aren't going to connect with my potential clients. People are going to be like, oh, I don't really want to listen to this. This isn't really resonating because I'm doing it from a depleted. But when I show up in the thriving state, people say, oh, I love Jennifer. I love her energy. And they want that. They're like, oh, and that uplifts them to a new place of possibility. Right?
So it's more important the energy we are in than like steps we are doing. Even in business, this is also my experience, because I tried so many things, but when I wasn't in the energy of like in high energy, and I didn't believe in that I can do that, so I physically or in the external world, I just did all these steps and I didn't get anywhere.
Exactly. Yes, you're going through all of those steps. A, B, C.
Yes.
Why am I not getting D? Why am I getting A again? But when you do A and you're like happy and excited about it, and you're in that thriving zone, and then B and then C, and you're in that thriving zone, all those steps, then you're going to get to Z really quick.
Yes.
It is that, yeah, that's it exactly, that energy behind it. So as you start to check your inner battery throughout the day, you start to recognize different trends. Are there certain tasks that impact your energy? Are you like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do the social media. I don't want to do whatever, right? If that's the way you're approaching it, then yeah, it's going to be really, really hard to do. But if you boost your energy first and you approach it more like a game, then it gets easier to do. And then the new ways to do it and the creativity starts to flow. So you start to recognize, are there tasks that bring your energy down? And then consciously making sure that your energy is full and thriving before you take that action. Are there people that impact your energy? Are there cycles in your business, cycles in your personal life, cycles in the seasons, in the moon that impact your energy? Are there things in your space that impact your energy, right? Huge, huge impact. And then when you start to recognize how all of this is impacting your energy, you start to also discover, okay, my energy is low. I need to do something to boost my energy. For me, the number one thing I'll do is go outside, take some deep breaths, feel the sunshine on my skin, barefoot on the grass if I can. If it's wintertime, sometimes I'll still try to go barefoot on the grass or even barefoot on the snow, but it recharges me. Other people, it might be art, or it could be dancing or singing. You start to discover what it is that's a quick energy boost for you. Sometimes you need something that's just a couple of minutes. Other times you need half an hour. Maybe you need to go for a long walk, because if you're just stewing in something and the problem's there right in front of you, it's not going to get any better. If you're still immersed in the problem, take the break, get out of it. That's where you're going to find the solution.
Thank you very much. This is hopefully it was helpful for our audience too, because I know that this is really important. So
yes. Thank you for the opportunity to share it. So just as a guideline, if you're an 8, 9, or 10, you're in that thriving zone. 5, 6, or 7, you're suffering. 1, 2, 3, or 4, you are surviving. So if you think about like even the chakra system, so that's your root chakra needing some attention because you're in that survival mode and you need to boost your inner battery up. So if you think about the typical colors on a battery, you want to be going from just your root chakra up to the orange, your sacral chakra, up to the yellow, and up into your heart, bringing your energy up into that thriving zone. And if you take the time, invest the time to boost your inner battery throughout your day, I promise you, not only will you discover that you are way more productive, but you'll also start to get present to self-sabotaging patterns, the things that you do to avoid the things that you don't want to do, right? So there'll be different patterns that you start to become aware of as you start to check in regularly. And then you'll also discover that as you boost your inner battery and you're in that thriving state, then you don't get into those patterns. So the more that you're proactive with your energy, the more productive you are, the more confident you are, and then your thinking stays clear and focused and optimistic, and your heart is full, you're happy and joyful. Now, I'm not trying to say that you will never be sad. There will be times where you're going to get sad and you're going to get angry. But what I'm trying to say, though, is that you don't have to stay there. When I lost my mom in the spring, I gave myself the space and grace to know that I needed that time for me. When I get sick, really, really sick, I know that, okay, I'm a 2. I'm not ready to work, right? There's no point pushing myself. And I give myself the space and the grace to recover. So I'm not trying to say that you need to be in that thriving zone full tilt, but I'm trying to express that you gain the self-awareness as to what's going on. And this is the distinction between self-care and self-awareness. As you start to check in, you also start to heighten your intuition, because you're tuning in physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So your intuition, you're starting to pick up on subtleties that are going on, little things that are going on that you would not have noticed unless you had been paying attention.
Yes. Thank you very much for everything you just shared. And do want to let our audience with some, I don't know, last thought or something,
Yes,
last piece
absolutely.
of wisdom.
Yes, just check your inner battery as often as you check your phone battery. I hope that every time you go to look at the battery on your phone, on your laptop, on your iPad, that you're going to think, oh, I need to check in with me too. It will make a massive difference in your life. It will transform your world and transform your relationships, and you're worth it. You're worth good energy.
Thank you so much.
My honor. My honor.
Did you enjoy the interview? If you want to know more about Jennifer, please check the link in the description. And if you were doing this exercise with us, please let me know in comments what are your numbers. By the way, did you know that some changes in your environment can improve your next score? Schedule your free vitality check of your space and I can help you with that. If you've got value from this video, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed yet, please consider to do so, because I have more videos like this so you can become more vital and energized and just enjoy more your life. See you in the next video. Bye!